Most people think having a lot of friends means you're happy, successful, or socially important. But psychology says something very different. Some people slowly disconnect from others. Not because they're broken, but because their mind no longer feels comfortable in shallow environments. And if your circle keeps getting smaller, if conversations feel more draining than exciting, if you often feel alone even around people, there's a chance your brain processes the world differently from most people around you. Because intelligence doesn't always make life easier. Sometimes it makes connection harder. The deeper your mind becomes, the harder it is to tolerate fake energy, meaningless conversations, and emotionally empty relationships. You start noticing things other people ignore: forced smiles, hidden jealousy, fake interest, manipulation hiding behind kindness. And once your brain becomes aware of these patterns, it becomes almost impossible to ignore them. That's why many intelligent people slowly stop enjoying crowds. Not because they hate people, but because too many interactions begin to feel emotionally fake. Psychologists have found that highly self-aware individuals process social information more deeply than average people. While others casually move through conversations, your brain is analyzing tone, emotion, contradictions, and hidden meaning all at once. Eventually, socializing starts feeling less like connection and more like mental exhaustion. Have you ever noticed how some people can talk for hours without saying anything meaningful? Most people are comfortable living on the surface, but your mind constantly searches for depth. You don't just want entertainment. You want honesty, understanding, real connection. And because of that, small talk slowly becomes unbearable. You can only pretend to enjoy shallow conversations for so long before your mind mentally disconnects. This is one reason intelligent people often end up alone. Not because they think they're better than others, but because their emotional needs are different. Your mind craves substance, and substance is rare. Over time, many intelligent people become emotionally independent. Sometimes because life forced them to. Maybe you learned early that depending on people often leads to disappointment. So instead of finding comfort in others, you learned how to comfort yourself. Eventually, solitude stopped feeling painful. It started feeling peaceful. Because sometimes being around the wrong people feels lonelier than being alone. And maybe you felt that before. You laugh with everyone else, but internally, you still feel separate. Like your mind exists somewhere they cannot reach. That's why intelligent people often keep their circle small. Not because they can't connect, but because superficial connection no longer satisfies them. There's another hidden reason intelligent people often struggle with friendships. Their mind never truly relaxes around people. Even during normal conversations, part of your brain is still observing, analyzing reactions, reading body language, noticing emotional shifts that most people completely miss. You pick up on hesitation in someone's voice, the fake smile that disappears too quickly, the subtle change in energy when someone secretly dislikes you. And because your brain notices so much, social situations become mentally exhausting. Most people experience conversations on the surface, but your mind experiences them on multiple layers at once. This is why intelligent people often need long periods of solitude after social interaction. Not because they hate people, but because their nervous system becomes overloaded faster. Psychologists call this high-sensitivity processing. Your brain absorbs more emotional information than average people. And over time, you become extremely protective of your energy. That's why crowded environments can sometimes feel strangely empty to you. You crave real connection, but real connection is rare. So instead of surrounding yourself with people who don't truly understand you, you choose solitude. And honestly, your silence scares some people, because most people are uncomfortable around someone who doesn't desperately seek approval. You don't force conversations. You don't chase attention. You don't constantly try to impress others. And in a world addicted to validation, that kind of independence feels unusual. But there's also a painful side to this. Intelligent people often overthink relationships more than anyone else. After conversations end, your mind replays everything. What did they really mean? Did they secretly judge me? Was I too quiet? Too distant? Too different? And while other people move on instantly, your brain keeps searching for hidden meaning. This creates emotional distance over time, not because you don't care, but because your mind struggles to fully trust people, especially if you've been disappointed before. One betrayal, one fake friendship, one moment of rejection. Sometimes that's all it takes for your brain to become cautious. And once your trust breaks, you stop giving people easy access to your inner world. You observe longer, test people silently, watch their consistency, because your mind understands something most people learn too late. Not everyone deserves closeness. Some people only enter your life to consume your energy, and intelligent people eventually become very aware of that. That's why your circle became smaller over the years, not emptier, smaller, more intentional, because peace started feeling more valuable than popularity. The truth is, having few friends doesn't automatically mean something is wrong with you. Sometimes it means your mind has outgrown shallow environments. You stopped forcing connections that feel fake. You stopped lowering your standards just to avoid loneliness. And maybe that made your world quieter, but it also made it more real. Because intelligent people don't just look for attention, they look for understanding. They want conversations that go beyond appearances, relationships that feel emotionally safe, people who don't just hear them, but truly see them. And those kinds of connections are rare. That's why deep thinkers often spend long periods alone, not because they're incapable of love or friendship, but because superficial relationships emotionally drain them. Your brain naturally searches for meaning in everything, in people, in conversations, in behavior, in emotions. You notice patterns other people ignore. You sense dishonesty quickly, and once you realize someone's energy is fake, it becomes difficult to stay emotionally connected to them. But here's the part most people never realize. Intelligent people are often lonely because they refuse to betray themselves for acceptance. They would rather walk alone than become someone else just to fit in. And in today's world, that kind of authenticity is rare. So if you've spent years feeling different, feeling disconnected, feeling like nobody fully understands the way your mind works, maybe it's not because you're broken. Maybe your brain simply experiences the world more deeply than most people around you. Maybe you were never meant to connect with everyone. Maybe you were meant to connect deeply with a few. Because real connection was never about quantity. It was always about depth, and deep people rarely find their tribe instantly. But when they do, those connections become almost impossible to replace. So don't measure your value by how many people surround you. Some of the strongest minds walk alone for long periods of time, not because they failed socially, but because they learned the difference between attention and genuine connection. And once you understand that difference, you stop chasing crowds that never truly saw you in the first place. If this video made you realize something about yourself, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay connected, because the next video might explain a part of your mind that nobody else ever could.